I hanged myself at my boyfriend's front door. I told my best friend to take all the 10 million I'd saved up and buy ghost money to burn for me. When my best friend thought I'd lost my mind, I wore a blissful smile before I took my last breath. Because in 7 days, a twisted apocalypse would arrive, and anyone who dies within these 7 days will turn into a wraith. I don't just want to be a wraith. I want to be the Wraith Empress, the most terrifying existence of all. Only then can I get revenge on that scumbag boyfriend, and avenge the bloody hatred from my past life. In my last life, after the horrifying apocalypse descended, my best friend Howan, who had died in a car crash, turned into a wraith. Under her protection, I managed to barely survive in the doomsday. But I was betrayed by my boyfriend Li Shi. To curry favor with a beautiful and vicious female vengeful spirit, he skinned me alive. That night, he tricked me into drinking red wine laced with sleeping pills, and I fell into a deep slumber. When I woke up, my body was completely paralyzed, unable to move an inch. I was still naive enough to think he was just playing an intimate game between lovers, and begged him not to take it this far, but I quickly realized that was not the case at all. He held a scalpel in his hand, and sliced through my skin with a ferocious grin. I felt no pain because of the anesthetic, but I was overwhelmed with sheer terror. I still remember it clearly. He made 1,053 cuts to peel off my fair and delicate skin, turning me into a blood-soaked, mangled monster. I couldn't fathom why he was so deranged and heartless. When I screamed at him in hysteria, demanding an explanation, he only smiled coldly and said, "You bitch. You're nothing but a plaything to me." When Howan, who had become a wraith, learned what had happened, she was consumed with grief and rage and tried to avenge me. But the vengeful spirit Li He was groveling to was far more powerful. Howan was implicated because of me, and beaten until her soul was scattered into nothingness. My heart turned to ash, and I fell into complete and utter despair. But fate took pity on me, and I was reborn. In this life, I will change everything. First of all, I need to save Juan. Dying within the 7 days before the apocalypse will turn a person into a wraith, but it also comes with unbearable agony. Juan sacrificed so much for me. In this life, it's my turn to shield her and let her live a life free of worry and fear. I glanced at the time. It was PM in an hour and a half. Juan would die in a car accident. I hurriedly made a video call to Juan. She was at work at that moment.
Shinchuan, you missed me. Why'd you call me all of a sudden?
Seeing Howan's face, a sharp sting pricked the back of my nose. In my past life, I'd been the one who got her implicated, who made her beaten until her soul was scattered into nothingness. It felt so good to see her again, alive and well right in front of me. I swallowed down the surging emotions and spoke to her in a solemn, urgent tone. "After you get off work later, don't leave. I'm coming to find you." Howan stared back at me, a look of total confusion on her face. I didn't explain anything further, just repeated my warning over and over again. "You have to stay put at the company no matter what happens. You must wait for me." At T6:30, I walked Juan out of the company building myself. Even so, an accident still happened on the road. A bright red truck came barreling straight toward me and my best friend. I wrenched the steering wheel hard to swerve in an emergency, but the truck still grazed our car. Thankfully, neither Juan nor I was hurt in the slightest. I thought back to my past life. The vehicle that had killed Juan was also an unlicensed red truck. My pupils constricted sharply. In that moment, I was certain of it. Juan's death hadn't been an accident. It had been cold-blooded murder. I turned to her at once, my voice tight with urgency. "Juan, have you offended anyone recently?" Juan was gentle, kind, and even a little naive and guileless. I couldn't for the life of me figure out who would want her dead. Juan shook her head at the question. I stared straight at her, and only then did the gravity of what had happened finally sink in for her.
You mean that truck just now was doing it on purpose?
I nodded. Juan trembled all over, clinging tightly to me. She thought for a moment, then spoke hesitantly, saying she'd remembered something that had to do with me. I froze. Why on earth was this tied back to me again? Juan gritted her teeth and explained. 3 years ago, she'd seen Li Shi out shopping with another woman. He'd spotted her too, but she hadn't managed to get any proof. Afraid I wouldn't believe her, she'd never told me about it. A searing hatred washed over my face. I could be almost certain this was Li Shi hiring hitmen to kill her. Before my rebirth, I'd been so love-blind I'd never have believed that Li Shi, with his sunny, upstanding facade, could do something like this. But now, I knew exactly who he really was, an out-and-out cold-blooded scumbag. I took a deep breath, comforting Juan and telling her to go home first, to be extra careful over the next few days, and to leave everything to me. With the car damaged, I hailed a taxi to take Juan home. When we were about to part, I warned her seriously. "If I die, don't you dare grieve for me. Just remember to burn ghost money for me. The sooner the better, the more the better. When I reach the world of vengeful spirits, this ghost money will help me build my power. When I come back, I won't be alone anymore. I'll have thousands of ferocious ghosts at my command." Juan stared at me in utter shock, asking what nonsense I was spouting, how I could possibly die. I smiled, said nothing more, and just pressed my bank card into Juan's hand. "Use every last cent of this money to buy ghost money and burn it for me. Otherwise, I'll never rest in peace even in the underworld." I could only trust her with something as important as burning my ghost money. I repeated the warning one more time, then turned and left, leaving Juan standing there alone, completely dumbfounded in the wind. After we parted ways, I headed straight for Lizzie's house. This time, I didn't take the normal route. I scaled the wall all the way up to the 4th floor, right to the outside of his bedroom window. His bedroom curtains were drawn, but there was still a narrow crack between them. I peered through the crack, and my eyes went wide at the sight inside. A woman with a seductive, curvaceous figure was lying in Lizzie's arms on the bed. I wasn't furious at this scumbag for cheating on me. What stunned me was that this seductive woman was none other than the vengeful spirit Li He had groveled to in my past life. I bit down on my lip, a frigid glint flashing in my eyes. I would never let these two enemies get away with what they'd done. Inside, Li Shi was still flirting with Wuna. She traced slow circles on his chest with her finger, her eyes soft and dewy, and spoke in a loving, honeyed voice.
When are you gonna break up with that ugly woman? I don't want to keep hiding from her like this anymore.
Li Ji soothed her. Just wait a little longer. I'll get rid of her once we get our marriage license, and every last cent of her inheritance will be ours. I've checked it out thoroughly. Her late parents left her 10 million in cash. Once we get our hands on that money, it'll be more than enough for the two of us to live off for the rest of our lives.
I clenched my fists. That bastard Li He just kept hitting new lows of scumbaggery. I'd never imagined he'd only gotten close to me for my money. This was cold-blooded murder, plain and simple. Inside the room, Wuna chuckled at his words.
That idiot still has no clue you don't love her at all. You only got close to her for her lousy inheritance. You're so bad.
Li Ji said with a shameless grin. Bad boys get the girls, right?
Staring at these two colluding monsters, white-hot fury boiled up inside me. I ached to burst through that window and drive a knife straight through both of them. But I was no match for Li He in strength, and couldn't land a single real threat on him. Still, before I killed myself to become a vengeful ghost, I could at least make him sick to his stomach with one last move. I bit down on my finger until it bled, then scrawled bloody characters across his window, laying bare every single one of his heinous crimes. Then, at the stroke of midnight, I hanged myself on his front doorstep with a white silk ribbon. The fabric cut off my breath in seconds. My legs twitched a few times, and then I was dead. With the twisted apocalypse fast approaching, the very laws of the world had begun to shift. My body was dead, but my soul remained.